Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the January 14th, 2026 Joint Finance Audit Budget and Internal Services Committee. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Adopts the agenda.
Support Zinner.
Motion from Commissioner Romano, support from Commissioner Zinner. Seeing no questions, commissioners, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. Next item is public participation. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on any item on today's agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes is welcome to the podium. Anybody wishing to speak? Okay, seeing none, we will close the first public participation. There is one more before the end of the meeting, and we will move on to item 5, which is presentations. I will take a motion to receive and file the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report.
Motion to receive and file.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Lucido, support from Commissioner Haw. And with that, we have, where's John and Amber? There they are. Come on up, you guys. Or one of the Johns is going to tee it off, right? Our finance director is going to tee it off, then we'll turn it over to the team. John, go ahead.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and hope you guys all had a good, safe drive in. I just wanted to, before we introduce the auditors here, just kind of give a little bit of update on the financial statements kind of as I see it, and before the auditors present. I'm sure they'll be available for additional questions, have more detailed information, but I just wanted to indicate that the county does maintain a AA plus bond rating with S&P and a AA1 rating with Moody's. There is currently $194 million in outstanding debt which is subject to state debt limitations. So we're well below the $3.7 billion the state debt limitations allows us, which is about 10% of our SEV. I'm not recommending going up to $3.7 billion in debt. The pension fund is currently at 99% funded of its $1.17 billion in liability. It has about $1.15 billion in assets, while the OPEB fund is about 96% funded. The year-end preliminary government net position indicates $2.3 billion, which is up from $2.1 billion in the previous year. This includes the governmental activities funds, which sit at $1.9 billion net position, an increase of $122 million over the previous year, while the business type activities have about $343 million in net position, an increase of $57 million from 2023. The county maintains a strong capital base to support services. The audit will note that it has about $1.4 billion of its net position invested in capital assets. I think this indicates a strong platform for service delivery. The general fund, which is the primary operating fund of the county, received an overall fund balance increase in 2024. It went up to $125 million, up from $116 million in 2023. This fund balance is about 52% of the general fund expenditures. The current fund balance policy indicates that the county can't go below 20%, so we have about 32% of that is excess of what the fund balance policy allows us to have. I do know that a portion of that is committed for projects that we have out right now, but right now $125 million of that. Sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. $125 million of that is unassigned, which is an important indicator of financial flexibility, while we have $131 million altogether. You will hear from the auditors today that the general fund did receive a qualified opinion related to about $3.9 million of the $300 million in revenue in the general fund. This was a result of the county unable to provide complete supporting documentation for certain miscellaneous revenues recorded in the general fund to balance out interfund activity. So the county contributes about $66 million of general fund activity to other funds, about $3.9 million of that we were unable to truly identify where that came from. This is, in my opinion, one of the lingering items left from the transition from one solution, which was an outdated, antiquated software, to the new Workday software as we finalize and close things out. Overall, in my opinion, just coming in here in October of this year, the overall county's financial position remains relatively or really healthy. I think we're in good position. I think the auditors will kind of indicate the same opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amber Sutter. I was the partner on the engagement this year. I just want to make sure oops. All right. So first thing we want to go over is our independent auditor's report. So we have audited the accompanying financial statements for the government activities, the business type activities, the aggregate discrete presented component units, each major fund, and then the aggregate remaining fund information for the county as of and for the year ended December 31st, 2024, along with the related notes to the financial statement. We issued an unmodified opinion for all opinion units except for the general fund, as he had previously mentioned. The required communications, audit standards require that we communicate to the administration certain matters regarding our audit, and we have prepared the following summary of the required communications and other financial information for the Board of Commissioners. Professional standards require that we provide you with the information above, information about our responsibilities under generally accepted auditing standards, as well as certain information related to the planned scope and timing of our audit. All of this was communicated in our engagement letter at the start of our audit. Management is responsible for the selection and use of the accounting policies. Significant accounting policies are summarized in Note 1 to the audited financial statements. This year, there were 2 new accounting policies adopted. One was GASB 101 and one was GASB 100. The first relates to how vacation accruals are recorded. It did not have a material impact on our financial statements at all. GASB 100 is just a different way of presenting certain transactions and reclassifications to our fund balance. So that you will see in the financial statements as well. Certain amounts in the financial statement require management to make estimates and assumptions. As part of those audit procedures, we evaluate the reasonableness of those estimates. The audit of the county was delayed this year as the county was not able to provide UHY with a finalized trial balance until early September 2025. During the course of the audit, numerous client-prepared journal entries were provided to UHY. And furthermore, UHY notes that at the beginning of the audit, the bank reconciliations and pooled cash were not yet reconciled, which caused delays in our audit work. UHY also notes that all reconciliations were provided to UHY in September of 2025. The adjusting journal entries that we had are required to be posted because these entries were deemed to be material to the financial statements individually. So there are 3 items that we ended up posting, which related to receivables, vouchers payables, and utility expenses. The proposed journal entries are listed here, which these were not posted because they are not deemed material individually or when they're aggregated together. We proposed 9 entries, which related to reimbursement revenues, investments, contractual service expense, vouchers payable, accounts receivable, and then some investments. We are not aware of any other information being filed that includes our financial statements. We are pleased to report that there were no disagreements with the county's management over the course of the audit. During the course of the audit, we are aware that the county hired Plante Moran to assist with the bank reconciliations and certain supporting schedules. There were no issues discussed with management prior to our appointment. Next, we're going to go over the internal control findings over the financial reporting. So in conjunction with our audit, we considered the county's internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing our audit procedures for the purpose of expressing our opinion on the financial statements themselves, but not for expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the operating internal controls. We are required to communicate in writing to those charged with governance all the material weaknesses that have been identified during our audit. The definitions of material weaknesses and significant deficiencies are listed here. So material weakness is a deficiency or multiple deficiencies in internal control where there could be a reasonable possibility that there is a material misstatement in the financial statements that would not be detected in a timely fashion. A significant deficiency is the same as a deficiency or a combination thereof of internal control items, but they're not, it's less severe than a material weakness, but it's also still important enough to merit to those charged with governance. Our consideration of internal control was limited for the purposes described in the preceding slides and was not designed to identify all all deficiencies in internal controls that might be material weaknesses. So therefore, material weaknesses could still exist. We did identify certain deficiencies in internal control that were considered to be material weaknesses and significant deficiencies. The first one, number one, was a material weakness relating to the bank reconciliations not being completed in a timely manner. The state of Michigan defines timely as 6 weeks subsequent to month end. Number two was a material weakness relating to the county's books and records for the year not being reconciled and closed in a timely manner. And as a result, there were numerous journal entries that were posted by the client after the start of the audit process. In addition, there were additional journal entries that we had also came up with as part of our audit procedures. Number three, during the audit period, the county noted certain invoices that were not recorded in the correct fiscal year. This error resulted in a material prior period adjustment and a material adjustment in the current year. Number four, the internal pooled cash account was not reconciled in a timely manner. And number five, a significant deficiency relating to reports required by the county cannot be created directly from the county's Workday software. So those are all of our internal control, material weaknesses, and significant deficiencies that we have noted. Next up, John's going to go through some of the financial graphs for you.
Hi, everyone. My name's John Schnur. I was the manager on the audit. I'm just going to go over some general financial performance metrics that we kind of look at, and I can kind of go over that in more detail. John actually went over quite a few of them. So the first thing is your cash and pooled investments went up roughly $57 million from the prior year. And your net capital assets actually increased as well by $56 million. And then moving on, as John noted, you had an increase in your unrestricted net position. Just to point that out a little bit more. So that's funds that aren't really restricted for any purpose within the county. So they can be used for anything. As you see that number go up, that means you have more flexibility, right? Additionally, you're going to see that the total liabilities of the county have actually gone down if you look at current and short term. I also want to point out that your cash greatly exceeds your outstanding liabilities, so you're in great financial position as a county. So moving on to the next slide. For the general fund, cash also increased roughly $34 million, and your due from other funds decreased $17 million. Now, your due from other funds, that's essentially internal transactions between funds. One fund, general fund, usually gives another fund some money. They use it, and they have to pay the money back to the general fund. This decrease is primarily due to timing. of these transactions and when they get paid back. Moving on, for your unassigned fund balance for the general fund, it increased roughly $8 million. Again, that's a good indicator because that's fund balances that you can use anywhere within for the general fund purposes, right? You can even transfer it out if necessary. And your due to other funds increased roughly $7 million. Now, again, as previously noted, this is the general fund owes money to other funds, and that increased. So, and this is primarily due to timing of just when payments are made between the different funds. Moving on to the next slide, your property tax revenue increased roughly $11 million. Usually this is because property tax valuations have gone up within the county. And federal and state and grant revenue increased roughly $6 million because you guys got more funding during the year. Moving on to expenditures. The big ones that increased are public safety and the general government expenditures increased roughly 8 and 6 million respectively. This is just because of the current economic environment, to be honest. Everything's kind of going up currently, so it's kind of expected that your expenses are going up. Other than that, that is all that I had for you regarding financial performance. So, any questions?
Before we get to questions, I want to thank Amber and John and the entire team that you brought in, that you had with you. This was a Herculean task from the beginning. Our finance team as well. The transition over, as we all know, was a struggle, which made this a struggle. But we're getting there. John and John are in communication, I hear weekly now, which is fantastic to hear. Chair Sabatini, Commissioner Hahn, myself, we're also included in many of those conversations. So moving forward, we shouldn't be running into the difficulties that we've had with this one. So I'm looking forward to that. I know we all are. So with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Perna.
A couple of questions. John, our director, you mentioned in the beginning that our pension fund was only 99%. I understand that it was over 100% the previous year. Am I correct on that? Funded?
Pardon?
Our pension fund was, you say it's down to 99%?
It's in the 2024 audit, it is represented as a 99% funded. Now, it could be, there could also be, it could be 100% funded right now. I don't have the exact figures with me regarding that. A lot of it is based on the timing of the assets that are being recorded per the actuarial analysis that's being done. If they align with the fiscal year end, then typically they're going to go with the figures that are presented as part of that. I would also say that the actuary analysis is like behind almost a year, the analysis of the assets into the fund. So that could have been this. I think was based on probably the 2024 fiscal year, so based on the 2023 actuarial analysis. So by the 2024 one, we could well been over 100% funded on that.
Maybe Commissioner Hall, if your next pension fund, because I think you had indicated we were 100% funded about a year ago. And,
If I may, Chair,
okay,
Go ahead, Commissioner Hahn.
what you just heard John say is that was a number at the time that they had completed the audit. Those numbers fluctuate. It still puts us in the 1 percentile of the whole country, 99 or 100. But at the time they were auditing the numbers, it may have been 99%, it may have increased, or it may have decreased, depending on the investment status of the fund. So,
I would also
but
indicate that
if you're looking for an answer, I'll ask the question.
I would also indicate that Public Act 202 in Michigan indicates that the standard is about 60% funded. So well above any standards that's set by the
Macomb
state.
County is very proud to be 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one item why I like to highlight on there.
Second question. You pointed out some weaknesses that we've had in the last couple of years. Are you making any strong recommendations to correct those weaknesses your report didn't indicate that.
Yeah, so all of those findings that we found, we are
Amber?
actively working.
Amber,
would
can
you
you
go
come
to
to
the
the microphone,
I'm
please?
sorry, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so any of those items that we listed as an internal control item, those were discussed with management. And they've already started to implement, whatever mitigating controls or processes that they need to put in place. So that's all part of like the corrective action plan. So they take those items and they work through them and improve upon them.
So they concur with your recommendations that they're going to
Absolutely. Yep.
hopefully correct that.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Sounds like sloppy bookkeeping to me, but what do I know? John 1 and John 2, I'll go to John 1. And I'm going back to 2025, 2023, 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. $3.9 million unidentified income. We're not talking about $10 here. We're talking about almost $4 million that we can't identify that came in as income?
No, we can identify that it's income. I think maybe a good analogy might be, is if you're living in one house, right, and you're moving to another house, you're gonna pack up that house in boxes. You're gonna label those boxes, and with those boxes, you're gonna put in an inventory list of what is in those boxes. Now you're gonna move over to your new house, which would be our Workday software. And in that house, we can track that every single box has moved from one house to the other house. However, where we're missing identification is in one of the boxes that we opened, we don't have the inventory list. And so we have to go through the box to completely identify what that $3.9 million is. Now, at the time of this, we're balancing two things. One, we need to make sure that the audit is done in a timely manner. So at this point, the decision was made post the June 30th deadline that we had to decide whether or not it was more prudent to get the audit done and take a qualified opinion, or do things like delay state revenue sharing checks that are coming from the state, Act 51 payments that go to the road department, items like that. The other item is continuing to work to identify that $3.9 million and get it to its proper location. I will say right now, it is in the general fund. And I say that because it's most likely related to other funds, interfunds that the general fund supports. And in this audited fiscal year and in the budget that was just passed, there's approximately $65 million that's transferred from the general fund to those other funds. So ultimately, I believe that $3.9 million ends up in the right spot. However, I would say this is not a task, this is not something that the finance department takes lightly. It's something that we're working every day to make sure that we're working and correcting. I will say a lot of man hours went in to try to identify. My understanding is when I came in that the number was a little bit larger than that, and they brought it down to the $3.9 million. And we're continuing to work to clear that qualification.
You got a monumental job in front of you. Okay, John, number 2.
Okay.
I'm going to piggyback on Commissioner Perna. You said we had significant deficiencies. Is there a number attached to that, like 3 significant deficiencies? 15 significant
I'll tell you exactly. So
deficiencies?
it's on the report. So I believe it's 5 and 1. It's
5
5 of them, and there's
significant?
1 significant, and the rest are material.
Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Commissioner. Chair Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. I'll go with John number 2. I think it's what Commissioner.
It's easy like that.
John, you were talking about unrestricted net position for the county, and then you were also talking about our cash position and how it outweighs, I think you said, the debt of the county.
Yes, your
Can
bond.
you talk,
other liability.
let's just talk with unrestricted net position, so a little bit more in depth of what exactly that is and what it means for the county.
So essentially, your unrestricted net position is consisting of like a surplus, right? So it's when your revenues outweigh your expenditures during the period. That's how that number grows. So over time, that balance has progressively grown to the point that it's at right now. Now, during the year, I believe it went up, I think it was like $20 million roughly, somewhere around there. So that means you had more revenues coming in than expenditures you were giving out. So you had more funding coming into the county then you had expenses for the county currently. And essentially those funds at the end of the day can be used for any purpose. So the residual funds that are sitting, the residual cash balances that are sitting there that can be used for other purposes.
Okay. So summary of that would be we're managing our money very, very well.
Yes.
Okay. The cash position. Can you talk a little bit more about that in the sense of how it outweighs the debt? Like just a little bit more in depth on that.
Yeah, so currently you have 950 million countywide for cash and investments. And your liabilities are at roughly 650 million. So you have quite a bit of room, essentially. So like if let's say your bond, like for some reason bonds need to get paid right away, you would be able to cover them without any question, right? You have that money sitting in your cash and investment accounts is what I'm essentially trying to say.
Okay.
Yep.
So even by us refinancing our debt, like our bonds that we had, we've saved a lot of money there.
Yep.
Theoretically, we could write a check today and pay off all of our debt if we wanted to.
Yes, it would take it converting your investments, but yeah, theoretically you could, yes.
Okay. The other key thing I think you mentioned is that we've spent year over year an additional $8 million in public safety. Is that right?
Yeah, so it increased by roughly $8 million.
Okay.
Yes. So it doesn't mean that you had excess, that you went way over budget by $8 million. I'm more saying that year over year you spent more in public safety.
Okay. And then the last question is, I know some of the commissioners have already asked about the material weaknesses. So, John, our finance director, so since you've been in this role now, and obviously we've gotten some of these weaknesses, is there any changes that we've already done or implementing, you're planning to implement based on the results of the audit?
Yeah, so I can speak to a couple of the changes. One, I think the most or the significant weakness in the audit was related to the bank reconciliations. And so Plante Moran was brought on during the I guess 2025 in order to help kind of get that up to speed. The board graciously currently continue their contract through March 31st of 2026 at the end of last year. So they're assisting in kind of getting those up to speed. In addition to that, internally, what we've done is started doing quarter closes. That allows us to basically have it like a cutoff in revenue and expenditures that are coming in so that we can properly reconcile those items in the appropriate amount of time. So so each month we kind of cut the expenditures off and then we can work towards closing them. Whereas if you don't cut off, expenditures could come in, as long as the fiscal year is going on for previously already closed periods. And then you get to a point where you might have a reconciliation that's already done that now needs to make adjustments. So additionally, I would say with the transition to Workday right now, what we're working on is on some automation of those bank reconciliations. We're currently in a testing phase in the sandbox that we have for Workday, testing out those reconciliations which would assist in taking care of the items that we get on a normal basis, reconciling those items.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It was mentioned that certain state payments were withheld or delayed because of the audit not being finished?
No, they were not. We were tasked with making a decision to continue to identify that $3.9 million and risk the state pausing revenue sharing checks come in, or take the qualified opinion, continue searching for that $3.9 million, get the qualified opinion, but also continue to get those checks from the state. So there has been no pause from the state regarding revenue sharing checks, Act 51 payments, or anything like that.
Okay, that's good. So, but our original date was supposed to be June 30th of last year?
So you get 6 months from the close of your fiscal year to complete the audit. Yeah.
And they let it slide this long and kept sending the money?
Yes, yeah. So we did ask for an extension as part
Okay.
of that. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't just materially left out and hoping that the checks would continue to come in. There was an active request to extend the audit.
And I believe you mentioned that we are not supposed to go below 20% of our,
So the fund balance policy, which is in the budget, says that the general fund reserve, so the fund balance at the end of the year should not go below 20% of the expenditures in any fiscal year. I think right now we're at 52%. So basically, you could pay without bringing in any money in this year, you could pay 52% of those expenses from the previous year just using reserves.
so if it did go below, what happens? Do you have to go borrow money or something to bring it up, or?
We need to create a plan with you guys in the budget to bring that above the 20% level. It's not, it's a county adopted policy based on the GFOA recommended number, which is 20%.
Okay, so this is not like state law or
It's
something?
not state law, no.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Ha.
Thank you, Chair. John, in one of the slides I saw, I believe it showed our percentage of liability expense going down. How would you explain that?
So are you talking about the total liabilities that you
Yes.
have at the county?
I believe
Yeah,
that
so-
was the pie chart.
So yeah, that's pretty much, the reason that would go down is just your progression of payments, right? So it's like a typical car loan that you get. You keep making payments on it and that balance goes down at the end of the year. So that's essentially what's happening. That's why that balance is going down. Now you did enter into some new bonds, so that's why that long-term portion went up, but you also see the corresponding short-term portion go down. So that means, I'm saying in total, the net impact on your liabilities, it has gone down. You have been making payments and that balance is going down. And you have the cash to support it too.
Thank you. And secondly, to Commissioner Romano, when that transfer of funds took place, it was about a year and a half ago, and the assumption was it came out of the retiree healthcare fund. That amount was in excess of $14 million at that time.
How much?
14. So we, and John had indicated, or the question was asked, what improvements have we put in place? So we put a process in place with John, with the treasurer's office, that when transfers are made out of the retiree healthcare fund or the intermediate fund, it requires John's approval, the treasurer's office approval, and an acknowledgement and approval by the retiree healthcare board and the intermediate board. So even though I'm not scoffing at 3.9, where it started and where it ended up was a major accomplishment. And John's well aware of the situation. So is the treasurer's office, and so are the two boards. So that's one enhancement that we have now put in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you both. Commissioner Howard.
It is great to hear that the county is in great financial. Many of us are on boards with other county commissioners throughout the state and the U.S. and some counties aren't in great financial condition as we are. I just wanted to ask a quick question about the audit for 2025. Will it be done on time?
So I can speak with, John and I have already begun working on this. They were out on site last week for planning. They've already met with a couple other departments. I think they're meeting with roads this week.
Yep.
So they met with us last week, and so preliminary planning is already in place, and requests are being fulfilled in order to kind of get those things done, to ensure that we're kind of getting it done, to ensure that we're getting it done on time.
And just quick follow-up. So last year we requested an extension. There's no penalties for having an extension, correct? Like if the state grants us an extension, there's no penalties for that?
There's no, like, you don't pay a monetary fine or anything like that. The penalty would be withholding of your state revenue sharing payments.
Gotcha.
So.
Thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I can't stress enough how monumental the completion of this one being done is. And I'm putting on my CMH chair hat for a minute because I can't tell you the stress that the team over there was under, just like here, to get this one done. because the state was coming down on us as a county, CMA, every aspect of this county. We were facing pressure for how behind we were. So the fact that we could get these extensions, we could get it done without any penalties, without them withholding anything, is fantastic. There is a blemish on there, of course, but I think it could have been significantly worse had we continued down the path and taken even longer than we did. Commissioner Van Sickle on the second round.
Thank you. Does the state just simply receive and file, or do they go through it and have to approve it?
So the next item on the agenda is a result of the state's follow-up from the audit being filed.
So they've already seen it.
Yeah, they've already seen it.
Okay,
They
thank you.
received it in November, so.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Seeing no other speakers, please vote. Thank you, everybody.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next is going to be item 6, department recommendations. Item A, resolution 2026-14845, a resolution approving the 2024 deficit elimination plan for the Community Corrections Special Revenue Fund. I will take a motion to recommend that to full board.
So moved.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Howard, support from Commissioner Van Sickle. John, again, go ahead.
Yeah, as we've kind of been talking about the audit today, this is kind of fitting that this is coming back up. In the 2024 audit, there was a deficit in the Community Corrections Fund of $72,844. I will say, in my opinion, this was something that the finance department, we could have been caught prior to the end of the year, to be quite honest. In the budget, Community Corrections Fund had an approved transfer from the general fund of $807,600. Ultimately, only $649,948 was transferred into the fund. So that supports their revenue to offset their expenditures in any given year. That resulted in the $72,000 deficit. For the deficit elimination plan, we're not proposing anything extraordinary. All we're proposing is in the current year, they have a budgeted transfer of $813,900. We do expect that their expenditures will come in less again this year. If we just make the full transfer of $813,900 as budgeted, it should result in a fund balance at the end of the year of $12,334. So there's no budget amendment that's being requested. There's no special action that's being requested. This is all budgeted in the current fiscal year. It doesn't require any extraordinary action, just to make sure that we're following what we have budgeted in the 2025 budget.
Thank you, John. Commissioners, any questions? Some may have been asked already. I don't see any. Commissioners, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
John. Next is going to be correspondence. I'll take a motion to receive and file the dashboard report for January 2026 for the CIAC and the list of open bids as of January 14th, 2026.
So moved.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Goike, support from Commissioner Romano. Any comments or questions? Mr. Amboyer is here if we have tough questions. Seeing none, commissioners, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn the gavel over to Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Moving on to items 9A and B. I'd like to take these together. This is budget amendment for information technology, IT research and advisory services for $155,053,038. Motion to move to full board for A and B. Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Perna and Hall made the motion and seconded to move items A and B to full board. Jaco?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Happy New Year to all of you. The IT industry have been on a digital transformation journey over the past decade. It's about, the move from a break-fix type organization to a solutions provider. It has impacted us as an organization significantly. And I believe that the most sensible way to approach this is to engage an organization that specializes in digital transformation in government and the effects of it. That is why I'm bringing this to the board today. The request includes a financial assessment and a personnel assessment with the goal of accomplishing the following. With the financial assessment, in my view, IT costs has moved towards a consumption type model. The services and licensing we sign up for works differently than what it used to work before. It is more predictable and scalable, and infrastructure is now in the hands of vendors and workloads are moving to the cloud. We're asking for an analysis for an optimization of IT spend across the county. A clear understanding of how our county government supporting 27 departments should account for IT expenditures. And this will obviously be done in collaboration with our finance department. The second part of this is a personnel assessment. The effects of digital transformation on the IT organization, job descriptions, skill sets, and organizational structure is very significant. We need to adjust and skill our employees appropriately for tomorrow's needs. And what are those skills? We need to align our job descriptions with that of a digitally transformed organization, or in the process of that. How does our job descriptions change? We also need to align our organization structure with that of such an organization. What does that original organizational chart look like? We'll be working obviously closely with our HR department on these efforts. Additional benefits we get from this engagement is a strategic partnership and advisory relationship with Infotech, the organization, helping us to navigate all the complexities of a more modern IT organization for the length of this engagement. It will enhance our ability to make informed, high-impact technical and business decisions. We will have unlimited access to a network of experts, peers, research, and knowledge bases. The organization has successfully helped many organizations like us to navigate these challenges. Other subjects covered is, for example, AI, cybersecurity, procurement, and their vast set of diagnostic tools, to name a few. The cost of the engagement is $155,053 for the first year and $162,806 for the second year, totaling $317,859.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard?
I totally understand when, like, we had a budget amendment with I think Macomb Community Action because they received a grant opportunity. We're 55 days in from when we approved this budget in November 20th. And this is a rather large expense to have a budget amendment. My question is, why wasn't this included in the budget as we went through the budget cycle?
It was included in the capital budget.
That's all, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Goike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir, for coming. And then, just, listening to your summary and stuff, it seems like, you're looking for outside help to, go through the department, that you don't have, people with the expertise to streamline this. Is it, could we look for another FTE to maybe accomplish this as well in-house? Or you feel like it's better off to see, you spend $150,000 a year for these outside people to come in and oversee, all this, the transactions that you're going through with all 27 departments and such and such. Do I have the right understanding then?
Yeah, fair question, Commissioner. In my view, this is an organization that has multiple people, experts that work in this type of environment with different skill sets that can help us as an organization. It is not an easy task to go through. Me, myself, I have my ideas about how IT needs to change the organization that I lead. But even with the skill sets that I have, I don't believe that I should be making all those decisions from which has significant financial impact and also significant impact on my employees. I believe that the best way to go about that would be to do a study and really understand how it is done in the industry today. And that's why I want to hire a company with the experience that has already done this extensively to help us.
So is the track record with this company, have you done the research to find out, let's say, that you said that they've done organizations of our size and stuff before. So by them, do they have a track record saying potentially that they saved our department because of, the recommendations they make, 25% overall cost because of what they can do for streamlining or eliminations of stuff like that? Is there a track record where you can say, we're going to save the county 25%, 10%, whatever?
In certain aspects, it might be. I just, the focus when it comes to an ROI, if you can call it that, looking at how we're going to be ready for tomorrow's future. It is really brand new in so many organizations, so I don't know that a very helpful track record will already exist when it comes to, for example, that part of the business. When it comes to the IT financial portion of it, like I said, what I'm interested in is exactly how we need to account for it. I've had conversations with many commissioners as well as, other people, and there's concerns about how, for example, certain costs in our organization is accounted for in the IT budget versus departments and things like that. Those are the type of things, and I don't know that you can really tie an ROI to that other than long-term efficiency.
Yeah, so this is really nothing new. I mean, in my business world, I've had, friends with their businesses hire companies to come in as an outside looking in and to make more efficiencies, and they ended up getting rid of people that they had and doing stuff a little bit different, so it was actually a cost savings and efficiency factor. So, that's the aspect that I'm looking at it, and to see if, if there was any records on previous employment, so they say, hey, we're gonna make the county IT system run this much more efficient, and for all parties involved in that, we're actually can see a cost savings to the taxpayers. So, thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jaco. So just a couple questions. So I know this is like a two-pronged approach, the financial assessment and the staffing assessment. So I know this is a 2-year deal. In the first year, are we assessing the financial side or the staffing side first?
The first thing we want to do is the financial side. The second part is the staffing side. Quite honestly, I think some of it can probably happen in parallel. We will decide that when we start working on the whole process. It is my goal to get both those areas assessed in this 2026 budget year.
Okay. I know years ago, we did something similar. Was that an actual assessment, or was that like a complete audit of our IT department? I can't remember.
The executive office might be able to comment, more on that, but really what it boils down for us was determining what our IT organization at that time should look like, what type of resources we need, and things like that.
Okay. So when you get this assessment back, I mean, I guess it sounds like your intent is to change how we budget IT for the county and how we're going to make those changes across the county. So I know right now all of our IT expenses are in your budget, and those expenses are related to other departments, some specific to that department, only that department. So yeah, I support this. I think this is one thing that we've been talking about for quite some time, to how we can, grow as a county in the IT realm. And I know it changes so drastically, but I can understand even your staffing assessment where, a lot of these employees, their basis is more on hardware and what we used to buy, where now everything is cloud-based. So, the whole IT realm has changed drastically. So I'll be supporting this today. I think it's a huge step in the right direction. I think collectively, even budgetarily, and how departments see what we're trying to get to on a department side is what the true cost of what that department, how it operates and what that cost is. This should definitely help that and help the overall organization. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard?
Hey, Jacob. This might be a question for the chair. I think this is, as we were going through the budget process, again, we're 55 days into a budget. It is in the capital outlay budget. My question is really, why wasn't it in the IT budget? This is a contract. I'm making the assumption that this would fall under contractual services, where your contractual services is budgeted about $900,000. So if you knew we were going to do this, it's the first month of the year. So I'm assuming that, this was not, planned in the last 14 days. So knowing that this was coming, why wasn't it included in your contractual services and your actual budget? And why was it included in the capital outlay budget? So I don't know is that a fair question? I'm just trying to understand. So I'm not saying necessarily, I think the idea of it is great. I don't have an issue with that. I'm just trying to understand, why
No,
wasn't
it's a
this
fair
actually
question.
included in
I don't
your
know
budget?
if finance wants to comment. See if Vicky getting up. So just the mentality on how we handle these types of capital expenditures, but I'll let Vicky comment.
Afternoon, Commissioners. The question was posed to us by some members of the board, and I responded to that just because of the history of that and going through the budget process. So historically, and Jaco can probably speak to more of this as well, and it kind of goes into the assessment, what we talked about. I guess overall, sometimes when we talk about capital projects and what goes in the capital plan, it's really easy to identify building projects, right? They're usually high dollar items. It's something very much physical. And that with IT, it's not always as easy. So historically, in some ways that it's broken down, at least in Jaco's mind too, as many items that are in his budget for contract services are those contracts that he has year over year over year for different professional services, people that have been on board for years supporting the IT department. A contract like this, historically in the past, it's running a year, maybe two, depending on how long it takes. So it's a shorter duration. It's kind of just for one item or a one-off. We kind of view more as a project and not the same as a contract service that he has in his mind to separate. So it was placed on the capital plan. It was planned for. Any project that goes from capital outlay that is over 50,000 per the board's new amount and goes into the capital improvement fund needs a budget amendment. So this was planned. It's not a surprise budget amendment. We're moving money from capital outlay into the capital improvement fund, and that requires per board policy and the ordinance that it gets moved through a budget amendment. So that's why you're seeing it in that fashion. one of the ways, if that wasn't clear in Jaco's presentation, is this assessment will help us exactly with these items and whether it belongs in the IT department's budget or if it is a capital item and belongs in capital outlay. So, you know, it's good that the question came up because I know that's what we talked about last year. Sometimes it's confusing, right, where it goes. We've done the best we can historically based on past practice and where department heads think it's best suited. So that's where we're at today, and we look forward in finance. Jaco had talked to myself even before John was on board, and then he met again with myself and John. So we're very supportive of this and how we can, you know, better budget items so it's clearer for all of us.
No, I appreciate that explanation. I just remember from even before I was a county commissioner, I was watching the meetings. I remember the board passed the budget, and then at the very next meeting that the board had, there was a pretty substantial budget amendment, and I'm just like, you know, it caught me off guard. And so that's just one of the things that as we go throughout this process, I know we're changing a lot of things and improving a lot of things. So
Right,
thank
and-
you for your explanation.
And just keep in mind too, since you're asking the question, when departments prepare the budgets, they get their budgets back to us basically in July, August. And we're not doing a lot of tweaking in between that time. We'd be updating all the time, right up until October, and we don't have that kind of time to change it. So that's why too, sometimes you'll see budget amendments early on, because departments have been planning, they're working, they're doing what they do every day. We just can't we'd be here all the time bringing you budget amendments while you're approving the budget. I know we do that sometimes because we have to, but that's another reason as well. So just a reminder, when we're compiling that budget, we're 5-6 months out and waiting, so.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. That's all, Chair.
Thank you. My concern is, if we enter into this contract, will you be signing a contract for 1 year for 155,000 or for 2 years for 315?
It's a 2-year contract is what we sign. There are provisions in the contract that we can terminate the contract with 30 days, you know, like we have in most of our contracts.
Well, I guess my question then is how can you enter into a 2-year contract for 315,000 when we're only been asked to approve 155?
It is for this budget year. I'm sure I will have to then come back for next year to spend the rest of the money.
I guess the thing that I'm not getting is that if you sign a contract, are we not obligated to honor our end of the contract and pay that?
Yes, but like I said,
So if we're obligated to pay that because we signed the contract, why wouldn't you need the funds approved for that contract before entering into it?
I think we do this kind of thing all the time. When it comes to maintenance, we sign maintenance contracts for 3 years or 5 years all the time. And the actual approval, as far as I understand, is just for that year, because I have to come back to you every year to have us pay for that contract. So I don't understand the difference.
You might be right, and maybe I need more clarification on the process.
Okay.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 9C, an amendment for Communication Brokers Incorporated, DBA as Saasweedo, Global Telecom Expense Management System for a 3-year total of $106,200. I need a motion to move the full board.
So move.
Support Zinner.
Thank you. Motion was made by Haw and Zinner to second to move this to full board. Jaco?
This is a proposal we brought to you 3 years ago and are now asking to renew the contract. The pricing is exactly the same as it was 3 years ago at $35,400 per year. totaling $106,200 for the 3-year term. We use this company to optimize our telecom spend by providing better control of invoices, contracts, vendors, orders, assets, and reporting. They handle billing disputes, correct billing against current contracts, cancellations, order delays, and things like that. It's been working very well for us, and for that reason, we want to continue this service. These companies have tools that we don't have, software tools that they use to analyze phone bills and things like that. So, I believe it's a very good service, and like I said, we would like to continue over the next 3 years.
Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9D, Agreement for Information Technology Maintenance Agreement for the first quarter of 2026 for $1,341,331.06 for Core Technology Highland Software Importer used by Circuit Court, People Driven Technology, and Workday. I need a motion to move this to full board.
So move.
Did I hear a second? Thank you. Commissioner Ha and Wayno made the motion and seconded it to move this item to full board. Jaco?
Commissioners, these are the usual maintenance items I bring to you as they become due. This one includes Workday for a total of $1.121 million. Dell EMC infrastructure, which is our server infrastructure, for $138,843. Core Technology, which is the lien system for the Public Safety Office, $47,833. And then Highland for the courts, which is $33,093.
Thank you. I'm having technical difficulties here. Here we go. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Well, it's a good time to have him, Don. Jaco's here.
There you go. Civic clerk misbehaves every once in a while.
Commissioner Grote, the system didn't receive your vote. If you'd like to voice vote, I can add.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 11-0.
Good question. Why?
Yeah,
Why is not working?
another problem.
Motion passed 11-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to items 9E and F. Budget amendment for facilities and operations, treasurer office renovations, $734,305. I need a motion to move.
Motion to move it to full board.
Support. Thank you. Commissioner Romano and Perna made the motion, seconded it to move 9E and F to full board. Ben?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Item 9E and F is a contract and subsequent budget amendment with Urban's Partition and Remodeling for the Treasurer's Office renovation project in the amount of $734,305. Treasurer's Office and the Administration Building has not undergone any significant upgrades since the opening of the building in the late 90s. This renovation will streamline their services for the public as well as processes for their department. The project scope consists of material finish renovations to the existing open and closed offices, complete bathroom renovations, interior partition renovations for a new break room, collaborative workspace, and renovations to the open supply storage closet, lobby, and a rework of the transaction desks and windows. This contract is for construction only. Subsequent contracts will be brought in front of the board for furniture and IT. This item was publicly bid through Macomb County Purchasing Department. We had 6 bidders. Urban's partition and remodeling was the lowest qualified bidder.
Commissioner Wayno.
Thank you. I guess my first question is, I believe it was a few months ago that we voted to approve a facilities and operations sort of like overview and study to determine what the priorities would be and what was needed. So I guess I didn't think that that study was complete yet. So is there a reason why this is being brought to us before that study is done?
So this has been in work or in process for a long time. We are in the process, as you speak, as you brought up about the court or the space needs for the entire county and the facility condition assessment. So this has been in the pipeline well before that space needs began. It's just been can's been kicked down the road a little bit. So it's something that is ready to be done, needs to be done. We paid for the design, and Skipper, the treasurer's office, can speak to the need better than I can. So if you want to hear from them about the need, I can explain that. I fully expect to have construction projects this year, even though we are undergoing that space needs. There's just certain projects that just have to be done for whatever processes departments are doing.
So I guess to follow up to that
Sure.
though, since this is sort of outside the facilities and operations study, then with the facilities operations study and the results of that, there won't be further needs here, like this will complete that.
Yeah, I do not anticipate, and Skip, I don't know that you do, I do not anticipate any further upgrades or expansion of the treasurer's office space.
And then, as far as I know, this said this was for construction only and
Yep.
did not include IT and furniture. Do you have a projection on what that amount will
We're
be?
projecting a total contract cost of around 1.2 million. The furniture can't, we can't order the furniture till we're about 8 weeks out, without incurring a pretty substantial storage fees. So the furniture will realign that budget once we get closer based on construction schedules. IT as well, I notified them about 45 days ago. So I would expect they probably bring their package in February.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard.
Questions along the same line. I know we had this discussion when it came to the roads department about this countywide plan and then them trying to do substantial projects. You said you notified IT 45 days ago, so I think I would ask the same question. Why wasn't this included in the budget?
It was.
Okay. And then, because I was trying to find it in the capital, I was looking through the budget trying to find exactly where
It's
it
in
was.
capital, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna ask you what page it was. I'll look for it later.
See, oh no, that's my budget.
I'm gonna be
I
really
usually-
impressed. I don't have it memorized.
My budget page is C33, but
I was gonna
this
say,
is capital, so.
yeah. No, thank you. I was just.
Yeah, it's in there. I believe that, and I can get you the full figure, but I believe the total budget amount was 1.5.
Okay, because some of the titles, like the previous item, was like,
Yeah.
they were labeled different. So just
Yeah.
trying to make sure we're
Yeah, it's listed
tracking
under Treasurer's Office renovation.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ben, how you doing?
Good afternoon.
Quick question when it comes to the assessment, space needs, all that stuff. So with this having been pending for a while, was the treasurer's office withheld from that space needs assessment?
No. The county, or sorry, the administration building will still be done as a whole. The makeup of the treasurer's office is perimeter offices. Obviously, their reception and their cashier's counter. The rest of it is kind of a cubicle type situation, which is, it's all modular. Most of the furniture, if not all the furniture we're buying, is modular. In the case that something crazy was to occur, and they needed a whole lot more employees, again, these modular cubicle systems are very easily modified to make things work. I don't see any instance in this study where we would change perimeter offices, especially in the administration building with these angles and things like that. We're very limited.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Grote.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Good afternoon.
So you mentioned that 1 year, by the end of the year, the project should be completed?
This project?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And of the subject, since you're here, I want to update on a renovation / creating room for our judge, Aaron Hall. How is that going?
So they just finished the space needs study, and for the court, we just got the final draft last week. So I sent it over to the circuit court and the chief judge. So Julie has that. So I anticipate a meeting in the next couple weeks to go over what those results were.
The study is complete and judge year later is still with no office.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
He has an office. It's just not the same as the rest of the judges.
All right. Thank you for the update.
Are you done?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Ben, will the number of seats for employees in the treasurer's office change with the renovation?
Skip, is it 1 for 1?
No anticipated changes in the treasurer's office under our 5-year.
1 for 1.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Thank you.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. 9G and H, I'd like to take together budget amendment for capital improvement fund, facilities and operations, Plante, Moran, Realpointe. Task order number 3 for health and community services, lease administration, $60,000. I need a motion to move to full board.
Motion to move to full board.
Support, Center.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano and Howard made the motion and seconded to move items 9G and H to full board. Ben?
So Macomb County currently owns a property at 27690 Van Dyke Avenue in Warren, Michigan. It's formerly known as the Majestic Plaza, or some refer to it as Southwest Health Department. This property was attained through a deal with the City of Warren's DDA. The City of Warren's DDA deeded the southern portion of the Majestic Plaza to Macomb County on October 30th, 2006. The deed contained a reversion clause that provided the property would revert to Warren DDA if the county discontinued using the premises for government function, or 50 years from June 1st, 1976, whichever occurred first. On April 7, 2016, the Warren DDA quitclaimed its revisionary interest into the parcel to Y&L LLC. Warren then splits the parcel in 2017, separating the strip mall into 2 parcels, our portion being one of the parcels, one of the 2. Plante and Realpointe will conduct the following as part of lease administration contract. They'll evaluate whether to enter a lease with strip mall ownership or to locate a new facility. They will also identify opportunities within a 10-mile radius of the current location that are for sale or look at lease scenarios for consideration. The current facility is 39,563 square feet. The state of Michigan, they were in about half of the facility, so about 20,000 square feet, and they vacated in December 31st, 2020. Subsequent to that, them vacating, we actually moved in some, so all COVID testing was down there. So we used that square footage for COVID testing. And then subsequently, the health department has shifted some of their operations from their formerly leased facilities to Majestic Plaza. So it's a mixed bag of health department that is in that facility currently. That's all I got for you.
Thank you. You say they're looking for another office within 10 miles.
That is their preferred radius based on health department services, yes.
If we go 10 miles, that's going to be a bit out of South Macomb.
Yeah, they are trying to, the ultimate goal, I believe, at some point is to have a single building for South End services for the health department. They're currently leasing Thompson Center, which was bad. And we have Majestic Health, and there's talks of the future about Southeast Health. For the majority of what I think they'll end up looking at is they wanted to stay along that 696 corridor. And they also wanted to stay on a bus route. I understood based on the survey and discussions with Andrew Cox that a lot of the visitors to that facility come by bus. And there's actually a bus station right in front of the Majestic Plaza, which has been a positive, and that would be a positive if we continue to stay in that facility.
Well, I go along with the goals that you just stated, but if the contract states within 10 miles, they could tell you someplace in Detroit.
I suppose we're going to keep it in Macomb County, I promise.
So why don't we specify the search area a little bit more, like Macomb County, south of Hall Road, or something that would pen them into Macomb County instead of 10
I
miles?
promise you, Commissioner, it will be in Macomb County. So they're looking at something in the south end. They didn't want to totally specifically lock themselves into one singular position. In the case, we found a location outside of that particular area. So they're looking at all sorts of different available, or they will, properties and see what's on the market that fits us best.
Well, like I said, I agree with the areas as you
Understood.
described it, but not so much with a 10-mile
Okay,
radius.
understood.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Didn't come through?
Am I on?
Me and Ken.
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Howard.
I was going to ask a similar question. A 10-mile radius could put that at 22 mile. And there's, I completely understand it's going to be in Macomb County, but it's a huge loss of access to services to folks in the south end of the county, where travel is, I mean, for some people it can be the difference between life and death, making appointments or not making appointments. I mean, as a kid, we used to drive 2 hours on a bus to get to our doctor's appointments. And so having this move to, potentially 22 mile could be harmful to the residents that live in that community. And so I just want to express, my discontent if it does go that far. I know the goal, I completely understand the goal is to keep it along that 696 corridor, keep it in the south end of the county. But sometimes as government goes, this is the goal, and then we find out it's in, Memphis, not that we're going to be that extreme, but you understand my point. So I just hope that that does stay true and that it does stay in the south end of the county, because the folks in the south end of the county deserve county services and equal access to county services just as everyone else in the county. So I just want to express that.
Yeah, the full intent of this line item, and even in the capital budget, it is referred to as South End Health Services. The whole intent is to keep those South End services for the health department. In between somewhere where Thompson Center is, which is around 9 Mile and Hoover area, Sheener, and where we're currently at about 11 Mile and 696.
Yeah, I
Or
totally
Sheener,
get that.
696.
Not that this has anything to do with you particularly, but there was another government agency that was given $2 million to renovate, not to go into specifics, but things in the south end of the community down there, and it was not spent in the south end of the community. And so it's just always something that we have to flag and pay attention to.
Yeah, and keeping
So I
in mind
appreciate
too,
it.
that this is just lease administration. The actual lease process will be done by the county after the fact. If we find or stay or wherever the decision is made at that time. So that'll go through Corp Council, this board, the same process we would always do with any acquisition. So, yep,
Thank you. Commissioner Gleike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Treppa, for being here.
of course.
I'm just, farmer out there in the country, and it's lender. When I'm looking for property, I don't hire a company and pay them. I usually just hire a real estate company, tell them what I'm looking for, and then I pay them the percentage when it's bought. Is there a reason why we're not going through that type of a process?
I do have Plan Moran here that can discuss their broker services and what we're using. Again, this is for lease administration. Plan Moran being they will not be handling the actual lease paperwork. This is just to get us to the finish line, help us figure out what we want to do and what move we want to make. And then it'll turn it over to the county and we'll work through our own process. But Andy Fountain can explain that wing of Plan Moran.
Good afternoon. Andy Fountain, I'm with Plante Moran Realpointe. As Ben mentioned, the intent here is that we will be doing an assessment. It's more of an exploratory exercise up front to understand where the opportunities exist within the marketplace to perhaps reposition the current operation or perhaps stay where you are. It's through conversation with the county that it was the county's desire for us to conduct the assessment, the analysis, provide information, and that ultimately if a decision is made that any of the actual transaction activities would be handled by county resources and not by Plante, Moran, Realpointe. So as Ben mentioned, it's an exploratory exercise, giving you information. We're gonna assist in the, the parameters of deal making, if that's appropriate. And then that information will be turned over to the county, and a transaction, whatever it may be, would be facilitated through county resources.
Good explanation, I just don't agree with it. As a businessman myself for 50 years, I just assume hire a commercial realtor and let them get the percentage at the end of what they've accomplished for me instead of prepaying somebody. I don't see, you didn't convince me why this would be better unless I'm sleeping or something, I don't know. Thank you, unless you got an answer better. No?
We're just following the request of the county.
Okay.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 9-3. Commissioners Goike, Grote, and Van Sickle voting no.
Ken does have a good point.
Thank you. We'll now move to public participation. This is an opportunity for the public to speak to us for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Any public participation? Third time public participation. Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Goike.
Yeah, I want to, thank my colleagues. Comments I'm going to bring up is, I made a statement a couple months ago about the data centers. We've got one possibly coming into the district in Washington Township. And I did spend some time, discussing people going to the township meeting. And there's a lot of emotions on this subject. So I'm trying to prepare everybody for it. But the real thing is, it's, as we just had, our IT people here, they need storage. All that, what we're paying for is basically data storage. Somehow or another, we have to get communications out and get real facts and stuff, because it's probably something that's necessary. And what we have to deal with when it's going to be coming to all of our districts, one way or another, so that we have to take some time to figure out what's good with it, because I've been recommending brownfields. It's like, I think that would make a solution. And the other thing is, why are there tax abatements? Just trying to give everybody a heads up on this, because they may be coming into your districts as well. And I don't know whether or not we have to, as a body, come up to a referendum or, any type of a decision, but it's going to be happening in our county, and just to prepare everybody for it. Because let me tell you, I just sat on my hands at that meeting, because there was so much, heated debate, and then a lot of the stuffs were not facts coming out. And, the reason I'm against it is, is for, what's the tax benefit for our community? It's not really going to give that much to the schools, not that many employees. But a lot of the environmental stuffs are being able to be handled and addressed. But then we also have the power usage, Can they, without going through the government, can they get power directly out of the ITC corridor, which is why I'm thinking they're going to the north end. And the water is not really an issue, because it's a closed loop system. And that's one of the things that the emotions have been drawn with a lot of people, is that, they get a lot of water, but it's just like a radiator in a car. It runs the chillers and it stays right there. And then they have to go through Candace's office for the big footprint that they want to do, about the water runoff and having ponds and stuff like that. And I've looked into this fact about, is there any, water coming out of that's contaminated? Nothing, because they don't do any manufacturing. It's just solid computers and, it's a cooling factor and it takes a lot of power to do it. So that's what I mean. There's a whole bunch of different facts that we have to dive into because this is a big issue coming to our county. And, so for like myself, it's like, let's utilize our brownfields, get something back on there. But them are the issues. The power is still a major issue, but from what my understanding, and I've been doing a lot of research on it, the environmental stuff is, other than maybe stuff that I'm not, I need education on, is because there's so much power there coming in, is that something that can hurt our environment and hurt the people in that area. So for this comment, I just want people to start paying, do a little bit of research on the side because it may be coming into your district, because it's something that is needed, and there's I think there's like 38 of these facilities already in Michigan. And I mean, we as the county, I believe we're using across the street, we got a small little data center down in the basement over there is what we're actually using. So once you find it, it's the boogeyman, and let's be prepared as a body. Thank you.
Things are quiet today. Seeing no other
Motion to
speakers.
adjourn.
Please vote.
I ain't doing it no more. That's it for today. No, I ain't doing it.
Motion passes 12-0.